Hello, fellow members of the Alliance, and welcome to episode 18 of the Alliance Football Podcast. I'm your host, Rod Villagomez. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Find the show on Twitter at AllianceFBPod. We have got an outstanding show. I certainly hope you enjoy it. This week, we've got Kosha Irby. He is the president of the Memphis Express. We've got Marq Burnette, the team reporter for the Birmingham Iron, and of course, our good buddy John Ferguson of FantasyPros stops by as we reveal our fantasy 4-pack and a special gift for you as well in our fantasy segment. So can't wait to dig in. So let's just get this thing started. Hard to believe it, but we are here at week 6 of the AAF season. We are on the downslope of the regular season, but man, we've got some more great football to look forward to, and we are going to get the stopwatch ready and hit the 2-minute drills here for each game of week 6. We begin with Memphis at Salt Lake, and a tale of two teams, really. One Memphis team coming off of a heartbreaking loss to the Legends, and then the Stallions, another heartbreaking loss. Both last-minute losses, this one to the Fleet. So this one's happening at 1 p.m. on Bleacher Report Live. And this story of this game is just how both of these teams are going to cope with emotional losses last week. Memphis again seems more equipped right now to be able to come in and leave Salt Lake with the win, but Salt Lake is still not a bad team. You know, they've got Woodrum, and he's a good quarterback. He threw way too many picks last week. Of course, Cam Kelly being the recipient of most, actually all of those. But they still have a very powerful offense and a good defense. Now, Memphis, on the other hand, also has a very good defense. And so Woodrum could be in for another long day should Memphis decide it wants to step up its game and play defense like it has in the past. So for Zach Mettenberger, is he going to be able to, again, cope with the loss to the Legends? Can he get Zach Stacy going again? Can he find more of his receivers? Really is all this is going to boil down to. And how well can the Memphis defense handle the running game of Joel Buonio and the Salt Lake Stallions? So this is again one of those matchups between 1 and 4 teams where it's gonna be a battle to the end. Whereas last week, Memphis and Atlanta came in 1 and 3 together, and the Legends came out with the win. So for Memphis, can they lick their wounds enough to pull out this win this time, or is Salt Lake going to be the one to bounce back? Again, this is another home game for Salt Lake, so it's time for them to step it up inside their own stadium. Don't know about the weather yet, but hopefully it won't be another snow game for Memphis is concerned. So, all right, we turn our attention to Arizona and Orlando happening at night on Saturday on NFL Network. This game has some potential for some serious firepower. Again, Arizona on the downside of their 2-3 record, where Orlando just continues to be Orlando. We talked about them at the last episode rather, just being flat out good, and they are flat out good. So really, again, the story is, can Arizona keep up where everybody else has not been able to? It's going to be a long day, much like for anybody else that goes up against Orlando. But for John Wolford, he is not really performing as well as he started out performing. So for the offense of Arizona, they really have to, just like everybody else has this season, keep pace with this Orlando offense, and they have to score just as many points. They've proven early on in the season that they can put up some points and put up some electric plays. And in fact, in Arizona's loss last week to the Commanders, they showed that they have a lot of grit, scoring 17 points in the fourth quarter. But they're going to have to do more in the first 3 quarters if they're going to want to stick with this Orlando team, who just continues to dominate everybody and anything that comes across their path. So for Arizona, could they fall to 2-4 and really become one of the weaker teams in the West? This is the time for them to put their foot down and actually reinstate themselves as one of the better teams in the West, and what could have been the favorite to win the entire league coming into this. Now I think we all can agree that Orlando is the hands-on favorite, and they've still got their stable of weapons, be it Garrett Gilbert, be it Dernis Johnson or Charles Johnson or Jalen Marshall. on offense. So, for them, it's just a matter of can they keep it going? And is Arizona just going to be the next check off the list to improve to 6-0? The Sunday games open up at 1 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network, where San Antonio will travel to Atlanta in a game where San Antonio coming off of an emotional win, and so is Atlanta, their second win of the season as they beat the Express. We talked about that earlier. And the storyline here is just going to be which defense can outlast the other. Both of these teams now have proven that they can put up some points. I mean, Atlanta has not necessarily put up a ton, but 23 points is around the league average of the last couple of weeks, where the Commanders really only scored 29 last week, but they didn't have to do too much to keep that Hot Shots team at bay, except until the end. So really, this is just going to be, can Aaron Murray settle back in again as the starting quarterback and lead this Atlanta Legends team, who's looking to be a better team now that Murray is in at quarterback, and can he get his weapons going around him? And can that Atlanta Legends defense look good against this explosive Commanders offense? Can they keep Big Play McKay at bay? Now with Kenneth Farrow quite possibly not being in this week and Terry Williams stepping in, can Atlanta snuff that running game as they've been able to do over the past couple of games since Aaron Murray's took over? I know he doesn't play defense, but the whatever spark the offense has caused has made that Atlanta defense feel a little more emboldened and empowered. So the Legends defense is actually looking quite good, and they're going to have to, again, against this Commanders offense that has a lot of good weapons at its disposal. So it's just a matter of now, can either one of these teams, which one is going to rise to the occasion and take the win? I think the Legends are due for an upset, because I think the Commanders, again, they're coming off of that emotional win over Arizona, but the Legends feel like they're more of the momentum team right now. Speaking of momentum teams, San Diego hosting Birmingham. We're going to talk a little later with the reporter for the Birmingham Iron, Marq Burnette. But in this game, the storyline here is, where are we going to see the improvements for Birmingham? Are we going to see them on the offense like we did, or is their defense going to have to continue to step up and make plays? But now this is going to be probably the most defensive struggle of the weekend, and it is the last game of the weekend. But San Diego, really, just like I said in Monday's episode, making a strong case to be, if not the top defense, but at least one of the top two defenses in the league, right behind arguably Birmingham, who ran into, quote unquote, a buzzsaw in Orlando, but it's going up against a San Diego defense that can be, San Diego offense that can be exploited. As long as this Birmingham defense can get in Mike Burkevici's face, you might see a little more on the mistake side than you did against the Stallions, which was a tough defense in their own right. So 2 weeks in a row, the San Diego offense is going to go up against a very stout defense. So can the defense for Birmingham stop Mike Burkevici from making big plays like the Stallions failed to do, especially in the last 57 seconds of the game? And then can Jaquan Gardner get going again? Really, that's another question. Can the San Diego Fleet get their running game back up to par? And can Birmingham find a way to get into the end zone through the air again this week? We saw Price do it to Brandon Ross last week, but can he actually complete more touchdown passes in this week against the San Diego defense? Again, this will be probably a low scoring, very physical game to keep your eye on. So that's it. That's week 6. Those are some things to keep your eyes on as we enjoy yet another amazing week of AAF football. Again, make sure you are aware of all the games are at. The St. Louis, God bless it, I'm going to continue. The Salt Lake Memphis game on Bleacher Report Live. The Orlando and Arizona game on NFL Network later that night. CBS Network has San Antonio and Atlanta. And then, of course, the nightcap on NFL Network, it is Birmingham, San Diego. So there's week 6 for you. I hope you enjoy the 2-minute format. Again, a pack show, so we're just going to continue to roll on with it. The next voice you're going to hear is somebody who by now should already have his own podcast because he's been on so many of ours that I think he belongs having his own show. He's a natural at the mic, and you'll probably recognize his voice if you listen to anything. He's Kosha Irby. He is the president of the Memphis Express. Kosha, thank you so much for joining this show.
Hey man, thank you for having me. This is a long time in the making, or short time in the making. You just count the tweets, but I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your participation in this. And really, that's kind of where I want to start with, because here's the thing, right? There's very, very few sporting leagues in this world that has the type of fan interaction that you can have with presidents of teams as this AAF right now. And I don't know that you understand how much it means to us for you to be able to be so kind and generous with your time to come on to shows like ours and give us a little validation being fans, because we don't get that in other leagues. So first of all, thank you. And why so open? Why so willing to come on to shows like ours?
Because you have to build a foundation. And, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's going to take one fan at a time, one podcast at a time. And believe it or not, without people like you, there is no us, because we can't spread our voice. We can't go out there and talk to everybody. So we need to find those amplifiers out there that believe in the product and trust in the product like we do, to be our beacons of hope in some cases. And so I have no problem talking to anybody when they want to talk about the product or want to learn more, because as a person that's trying to grow one, the Memphis Express brand as well as the Alliance brand, it's in our best interest to try to talk to people that want to listen. And by nature, our podcasts are designed for people that want to listen. So, and I like to talk, so I think it's kind of a natural mix when I really break it down.
That's what I'm saying. You deserve your own show. I mean, you've already been on, obviously you've been on Memphis Express and Goal. Daniel and Michelle definitely have good claim on you. You've been on the Shipyard, which actually I got to tell you, as far as podcasts go, that might have been one of my all-time favorite episodes, is you going up against Dave Bowler, because the back and forth between you two, I really did envision, because I know you have a WWE pass, I really did envision you guys cutting a promo together out there on the ring, just sort of staring at each other face to face.
No, man, I left those promos to the professionals in the ring. I just talk a lot of crap. They're professional crap talkers, and that's kind of where you can make it to the WWE. And then there's just guys like me that just talk crap. Sometimes I back it up, sometimes I don't, but it won't stop me from talking.
So, okay, as far as your background in the WWE and seeing the media juggernaut that they are, what in the AAF, because I know in the beginning, there was a lot of talk about players getting incentives for social media contact with fans and stuff like that. We haven't necessarily seen that at the forefront yet, but I'm sure that's definitely coming. I know it's one thing at a time, but as far as the marketing is concerned with the AAF, where are you seeing the needs, the strengths, the weaknesses? Because like I said, WWE is huge in marketing. So what's it going to take for the AAF to kind of get up to a marketing juggernaut as it can be?
Solid product on the field. At the end of the day, you can compare, marketing across the board for everything, but you can have the best hype machine in the world. And if you don't have a solid product, it's just a waste of money, energy, and effort. And so the thing that we did here in the Alliance is we wanted to make sure that we put on the field solid product week in and week out. And I think we're doing that. We got some really good games. They're competitive. You don't see a lot of sloppy play. We were doing innovative things on the field in terms of the speed of play with the sky judge, with how we are, how these guys are manipulating the system in order to win. And so, and people are tuning into that. You can see that with our ratings and with our social engagement. People are tuning in. And so I think now that we actually have a product, the marketing is going to catch up, because the word of mouth right now is the number one influence. People say, hey, did you watch the game? No, but okay, you should check this out. They're really good. And so as we start to build consistency on the field, then our marketing is going to catch up. The worst thing that you could do is, and I get this question a lot. It's like, okay, well, you guys in this area put all this emphasis on marketing, but you also got to realize we created something out of nothing. It's pure alchemy. If you'd have asked me, give or take, back in January what the first game was going to look like, and then tell me to go make a marketing plan in and around that game, I've never seen a game. So how am I just know it's going to be football, but it's going to be produced and consumed in a different way. That's all I can tell you. But it's kind of like describing blue to a blind man. You can't go out there and create all these hype plans without necessarily knowing your product. And now that we understand our product, we know what we have. We are paying forward everything that we promised that we would do. Now we can start to market and promote. And so you see that. You see CBS, you see Turner jumping on board to carry more games, and that distribution is going out. And now you got positive chatter out there, people saying, hey, this is some really good football. And so now we have a message, and we're letting that message develop bottom up versus top down so that we can create better marketing campaigns that are going to be more salient to future fans. And so, yeah, it is a little bit of reverse or cart before the horse scenario going here, but we felt that it would be advantageous for us to do it this way versus the alternative going out and blowing millions of dollars on something we don't know what we have.
And I really feel as if the naysayers out there that are pointing to all these bad whatever stories that they can latch onto, we've been conditioned to think that as soon as something hits the market, it has to be the most successful anything. No one ever wants to give anything a chance to grow anymore. And there's going to be people out there that will bash whatever it is that is brand new. And I said it, I think in an episode before, I said, no one criticizes a baby for not being able to walk out of the womb. It takes time for that stuff to happen, right?
I 100% agree. You know, you look at the juggernauts of today. You look at all these companies that some people call overnight successes. You know, Amazon. You know, oh yeah, Amazon. You know, it's an overnight success. No, it isn't. That company has been in existence forever. Uber. They didn't just pop out of anywhere. That was a slow, methodical process of growth. Heck, even Walmart, to get to the stages today, had to go through processes of growth. And so everything starts with the impetus, and then we're going to build upon the foundation. And then we're going to keep growing this thing, and that's our goal. That's what we have to do as stewards of the brand, is to keep building on the successes of yesterday. And as long as we keep doing that, we're going to be fine. If we steer away from that, or we start trying to think 30 years from now, or heck, next season, we're doing a disservice to our fans currently, and we're doing a disservice to our brand. Right now, my main goal is to make sure that our brand or our business or our product or our team is better than it was yesterday. And if I can do that, then by the rule of 72, we're going to be better as a result.
And I think if you just even looked at week 5 versus week 1, you could definitely tell there's been a market improvement of just everything overall. I mean, obviously you're going to have week 1, you know, errors in the booth, on the field.
We had a lot of those.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Week 5 now, things have settled down, right? I think we're really watching some quality football, and I know that a lot of us that were with it from the beginning understood that, and we're willing to stick with it. So I know as a president, you probably had those same expectations, but were you a little bit antsy after week 1, or were you still just trying to keep your head down and plow through?
We're going to keep our head down and plow through, you know, and that's always been our motto. We're going to wake up and try to outwork everybody. And that's my motto. That's what I try to instruct our team to do, is to wake up, outwork everybody, go to sleep, wake up and do it again, but do it better. And that's what we do. And you know, granted, we haven't gotten the results that we wanted in a few of those games. And but you know what? That the team never really quit. You never saw anybody getting down. You never saw the, oh, shucks, why me? People feeling sorry for themselves. And so they're working. And then on the business side, yeah, we got some negative buzz out there and a couple of bad stories and a few haters that no matter what we do is basically not the product they want to see, so they're not going to like it. But you know what? For every one of those, we got somebody that's come on and said, man, I appreciate it. I have something to do with my family now on Saturdays and Sundays in the spring where I normally would be doing nothing. Or you guys are providing opportunities for guys that normally would not have a chance to play this game. Or you guys are creating opportunities for coaches that normally wouldn't be able to coach at the level that they're coaching, but we gave them opportunities. And so when you hear that and then you look at the metrics in terms of kind of how we're selling versus the ratings versus people that are showing up, I remain optimistic and bullish on our product. And so, I'm a little biased, but I think I'm biased with a cause.
Well, if you weren't biased, I think I'd be a little bit skeptical of your situation, but, you know. But okay, let's turn that into something where a lot has been made about attendance and the fact that they, when the camera pans, it's not what people are used to seeing. Again, we go back to that. When the NFL packs stadium. As far as this being a single owner league, right, and every team owned by the alliance, I got to think that while yes, it'd be nice to have butts and seats, I know that is not the main source of revenue. So how much do you guys as an organization put an emphasis on butts and seats? And then how much does the league really not worry about the fact that the turnstiles aren't flying through in the 30, 40,000 range?
You obviously want to grow your attendance to be whatever it is your desired goal is. But we also had realistic expectations. We knew we were not going to show up and put up, FIFA, World Cup, NFL, major college football numbers in season one. People have to understand, and I try to tell it to our, not only internally but externally. Some of these people had 100-year head start, guys. They're a little bit ahead in the race. They have a fan base. The stat that I give a lot of people that I am most proud of for our team is, for the Alliance, the Memphis Express will always go down, but not just for the Memphis Express, but for the entire Alliance. It has the host, which is Dr. Ho, was season ticket holder 0001. And so when you start to think about that, he was the first person to convert their deposit to a season ticket. And so when you start looking at that keeps me grounded in terms of we have to grow. We're literally starting from one. But you start looking at these expansion teams and other leagues, and, hey, I got a president that's going to go take over the Dallas Cowboys, and he's going to go run the Cowboys. I think you might have a little bit of a built-in fan base going on there. Whereas if you go out and say, I'm going to go start a restaurant in the middle of Laredo, Texas, on my own, I'm just going to try to create it out of nothing, and you got to start with the first fan, you're not going to have people flying in immediately. However, you put out a consistent product, you tell a good story, you make it fan friendly, you make it affordable, and you do that on a consistent basis. People are going to show up, people are going to come back, people are going to bring their friends, and that's how you grow this thing. Once again, we just want to be better than we were yesterday, and as long as we stay on that trend, everything is going to work out.
It's like when you start a podcast and you don't know anybody yet and you throw it out, you get one listener, you're happy. And then, a couple weeks later you get, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're preaching to the choir on as far as that's concerned.
No, I use that. And I used that the other day with somebody and literally, I was doing this talk with this, it was a school group and they were talking about marketing and all this stuff. And I threw out, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out there right now using kind of no buffer, no endorsers, and I want you all to start your own Instagram or Twitter handle. You can't rely on your Facebook. You're going to do it on your own. And I want you to get up to 1 million followers in 1 year. And everybody was like, that's impossible. You can't do that. It takes longer than that. And I was like, finally, you understand my point. You have to grow this thing, but it's going to be consistent. Nobody's going to follow you just because you got one post or one game under your belt. If you put out a consistent, for us, in our case, 10 games or across the league, 40 games, 43 if you count the playoffs and championships. If you put out a consistent 43 games, you do it year over year, all of a sudden people start to buy in. Same thing with podcasts. You put out a solid podcast day after day, week after week, episode after episode, and you keep building that, people all of a sudden become consistent followers. They recommend you. They get friends. You're now being played across groups. You're being discussed. And that's how you grow these things. It's not, people don't care just because you open up. They're not obligated to have to come and follow you. They don't have to.
Yeah, and they don't have to watch your game. That's for dang sure, So
they have choice. The beautiful thing about this country we live in, we have a choice.
And I choose to keep watching this product because, like you said, it definitely. And look, my listeners are probably tired of hearing this, but I keep telling them it lays so perfectly at the end of the NFL season and the beginning of the CFL season. This fits absolutely perfectly in between the two seasons. So I never ever have to go without football at all year long, and I can't ask for a better life.
Yeah, that's the point. That's what that is the premise of our entire product. We tell people all the time that the demand doesn't die, the passion doesn't die, the supply just goes away. It's that simple. the demand and passion does not die. It's not like people say, okay, it's Super Bowl Monday, I'm done with football. I don't want to do anything else with it. No, people still love the game and they want to consume the game. It's just that the game goes away. So, we figured there's a void there. Let's try to fill it, and let's fill it in a way that can help others. So thus this business system started.
Speaking of helping others, so a lot has been made of the fact that the NFL is the next step for these guys. But as a president, as somebody in the front office, like I understand that you want to be, you want to have big names travel to the NFL because that actually, I don't want to say validates, because I don't think that that's what it does, but maybe in some fans' mind it validates the league. But as a president, would you be even more interested in really just kind of shaping this league to be a standalone league? And if people go to the NFL, that's fine, but to have year after year recognizable faces and build sort of a dynasty, as it were, of players that folks recognize that they can continue to cheer for in 3, 4, 5 years down the road, rather than just trying to use this as a pit stop for the NFL?
You got to realize, though, yes, I agree with you and I get what you're saying, but that's naturally going to happen as long as we take care of our players. Think about it this way. There's only 1,500 jobs in NFL, right? No, 1,700 jobs in NFL. So, and give or take, about 1,300 of those are probably taken by multi-year contracts and all that good stuff. So you got about 500 or so openings that are going to be there on a yearly basis, of which the draft is going to fill about half the majority of those, and you get a couple of free agent deals that are going to come by. So with that being said, those guys who don't make the league are going to have to go somewhere. Now, I say all that to bring it home to say that even with our give or take of 400 or so players, only a handful of those guys are going to go and play at the next level. Majority are still going to come back for year 2 and year 3. So I think naturally we are going to have those consistent players that are going to be here, those consistent faces that you're going to be able to build your team around and anchor your team on. Unfortunately, certain positions are going to go faster than others. Let's not be, quarterback and linemen are going to be really sought after. But I think we're going to be able to build around some consistent faces, that are going to want to be here. And some guys may not want to make it. They may not want to go. They already had a taste of the NFL, and they realize that this is a better scenario. I play 10 games. I get paid. I get the rest of the year. I can go do what I need to do and come back and start this process over again in a much shorter window. So I don't want to necessarily try to say that guys aren't going to be able to live their passion and go on, but I think we're naturally going to get where you're going with it. But I say all that as a cautionary, to create this cautionary tale of we have yet to go through an off season. So I don't know what it's going to look like. And until we kind of go through one full cycle to understand what happens, how teams are going to come in and try to take talent, or heck, in some cases, how some teams may try to give us some talent. In some cases, we don't know. And so until we go through this process, I think it's all speculation right now anyway.
That is a very good point. I really didn't even think about. I mean, we get so passionate about week in, week out that you kind of forget. Yeah, this hasn't been around very long. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what this is going to end up happening. But it's not that I think it's a bad thing at all. And I really like I was talking to Carter Schultz, and I asked him. I said, if the NFL never panned out, I said, could you be happy playing in the AAF as your ultimate destination? And he seemed pretty, excited about the fact that, yeah, because, like you said, you play 10 weeks and then you go back and you do whatever, or maybe you ultimately want to play 12 weeks, 13 weeks is what you want to play?
Yeah, you ultimately want to, that is right. You ultimately want to get to 12 weeks.
So
that will be the ultimate scenario.
But then you get to go off into the off season and kind of do whatever you want. Do you see salaries increasing at all, or is this going to stay pat for a little bit? I mean, I know you don't look too far ahead, but I mean, if you were to put on a little bit of a forward-thinking hat.
I mean, I think that the natural evolution of all salaries is guys are going to want more for their services, and obviously we want to take care of our guys. What that is and what that looks like and how that package is going to be arranged is going to vary. Sometimes it doesn't always come down to money. Sometimes it may be healthcare. Sometimes it may be days off. Sometimes it may be less practice time. You never know. I mean, you'll be amazed at what goes into how some of these packages and how some of these incentive plans and how some of these payment plans are constructed these days. And it really truly is not all about dollars and cents as much as as contrarian as that is, it sometimes comes down to other things. And that's one of the things with the alliance that we're trying to do to take care of our guys. You know, we try to make sure that we feed them, we house them. We try to make sure that they understand that they are the bread and butter and lifeline of our, you know, what we're trying to do in our ecosystem. And I think as long as we keep doing that and taking care of them in a proper way, we're always going to have a harmonious situation.
All right. So look, how much fun are you having right now? This has got to be a blast for you right now.
You know, if you would have told me that, give or take, 5-6 months ago, that, you know, in a matter of 5 or 6 months, I would hire, give or take, 25 people, we'll sign 52 players, bring on 15 coaches, about 20 other support staff, build a practice facility, build out a schedule, launch a logo, launch a jersey, you know, create a television deal, create a radio network, build out a sponsorship program. Oh, and by the way, sell tickets and do everything else. I'd be like, no, you're a little crazy. You need about 2 or 3 years for that. And to say that we did all of that in roughly 5-6 months is something that I look back on, and I realize, one, how hard our team worked, but I also realized that it went by so fast because we were having such a good time. There was never, you know, don't get me wrong, we had some rough days, but there was never a moment where we all weren't dedicated to the cause and motivated by the cause and motivated by doing everything that we can to try to make the Memphis Express and the Alliance a success. And so yeah, I'm having a blast, man. Like, legit, I'm sitting here about to play Salt Lake tomorrow in Salt Lake City, Utah. And, you know, next week we're going to be at home hosting Birmingham. And we created this entire thing out of nothing. I mean, out of nothing. Think about this. The Alliance didn't exist last year. So this is not an expansion team. We don't have, you know, I don't have LeBron and Steph Curry coming in here to help lift attendance or boost ratings or whatnot. Everything that we did, we earned. And that, I get motivated by that every day. And that's the one thing that I would, no matter what happens in my future, I can break my leg and fall off a bridge right now and go away, I would be a happier man because of the Alliance.
I love to hear that. And the passion that you have, the passion that the players have, the passion that everybody has about this league, I can't understand why anybody would want to hate it, but that's on them. Whatever they want to live a hateful life, they can. I think we're just going to enjoy ourselves watching football. And speaking of that, okay, I know the ultimate goal, right, is Las Vegas. Do you plan to attend the championship game? I know you're going to go if your outcome is what you want it to be, but let's just say, I don't know, if the world aligns weird and something doesn't pan out, do you still plan on attending that game even if the Express don't get in?
Here's how optimistic and bullish that I'm going to remain. And maybe I'm a little, you know, some people say I'm a little crazy and stubborn. I plan to be in the championship game until someone tells me we are mathematically eliminated, meaning there is zero chance that we can go. And right now, that is not the case. I plan to be there.
Beautiful.
And if not, I will still be holding out hope for some version of an ineligible player, and all the games get forfeited, and then all of a sudden I'm back in. So that kind of tells you my mode of thinking.
And you know what? I am glad, because again, that's another thing where if a team president is saying, yeah, well, even if we don't, no, a team president needs to be thinking that he's going to get there regardless of what happens. Like you said, even if it's mathematically impossible, you're still going to find a way to, well, hold on, they didn't get a down in here, so that's an ill game that didn't count.
So you go back and review every game, and you're like, hey, you know what? If this and this and this, no, but no, you have to. If people, I mean, you might, you know, a little bit of my background. I'm probably one of the most competitive people that you ever want to meet, and so every chance that I get a chance to compete, whether it's through our players and through our teams or one-on-one with someone else, I want to win. And if you don't go into it thinking that you can win, if you don't go into it with your eyes on the larger prize, why are you doing this? You know, yeah, I could feed my family doing other things. I can go sell used cars and be okay, right? But I'm into this because I love to compete. I love being around that team environment where they wake up every day wanting to compete and wanting to be the best at whatever it is that we're doing. And so heck yeah, man. I plan to be there with my boys, and we're all going to be celebrating and doing what we're doing.
Good. Okay. Well, a lot of us podcasters are planning on getting together there too, and we're going to do a live show. And I could not even imagine having a live show without the likes of you joining in and coming on live with us. That is going to be a lot of fun.
Bro, if you guys do like a podcast roll, that would be the dopest thing ever. Like legit. And then you know what you should do? Like every one of you wear like your little, like different jerseys, and then you dress it out based on your team. That could. Let's talk about that, because if I can help bring that together, I would. I think that would be freaking outstanding.
Look at now. See, listen, you can't see it because we're not doing the video, but like all the hairs on my arms are raised. That's every podcaster's dream right there. So yeah, let's make it happen. I'm good. I'm going to be there. So it's just a matter of what we do while we're there, because we're going to enjoy the game, but I'd love to do a little something beforehand.
Absolutely. I think that's outstanding. That's actually a dope idea. Because here's it, and I tell everybody I talk to, you guys are freaking, every podcaster that's associated with the Alliance right now, we're in their debt, man, because you saw the